everyone, Tiniestofchibis here, and we are back with Genshin Impact. I know you're hearing the clickety-clackety of me moving shit around. And we are back with the trial of trying to prove Lenny
Both parties
being
have
innocent.
returned to their positions. Let us continue the trial. When last we left off, Mr. Linney acknowledged the new evidence presented by Lady Farina as fact. Therefore, Lady Farina may continue stating her reconstruction of the events.
That took long enough. Now then, if everyone would lend me their attention. At this stage, let's revisit that scene from Linney's perspective.
I actually have to be paying attention. I wasn't going to pay attention. Based on the opposition's account, you can identify loopholes in their statement. Using the evidence and clues operating during the investigation to refute any enormous accusations of the facts and replace them with the new inferences. Using refresh to convince the audience to obtain more support from the people. The machine will display such clarity. When you find and refute all the incorrect content, you can complete the cycle of refunction and reveal the truth.
As the countdown began, he entered the tunnel. When the flatbed trolley passed, he opened the box and got into an altercation with Halsey, which caused the loud thud. He did not realize that this sound could be heard by everyone in the opera house, which is why he claimed earlier that he could not hear the sound. Finally, he used the vase to knock her out, before making her change clothes to prevent others from recognizing her. At this time, Cowell arrived in the tunnel, having heard that strange noise, and caught Linney red-handed. So Linney proceeded to knock him out too before stuffing him into that box. Afterward, Linney passed the unconscious Halsey to his accomplice through the magic box in the audience stands, before operating the devices such that Cowell's death would be ruled an accident. And there you have it. That's the truth behind what happened.
Does the defendant's side have any objections to Lady Farina's description of the event?
The key to refuting Lady Farina is the order of events. What Linney experienced and what he saw.
Okay, so first one. Lenny entered the tunnel as the countdown began. Claims that he headed to the chamber containing upon entering the tunnel and did not witness the crime taking place and thus did not hear the thud.
Seems this won't...
That's when we'll go there.
According to Linney, he left via the vent after entering the tunnel. He couldn't have had that altercation with Halsey.
So I guess if I... Okay, so entrance and exits. No one left the opera house. Voice. Clothes belong to Hazy. During the switch, there was... As in... Enter clothes. Runner. Time. Identify the loophole. An entrance. Claims to have heard a mysterious voice.
Linney went to the room that contains the Oratrice's core. This is the actual truth.
Ah.
Lenny did not take part in the underground altercation. He only witnessed traces of the aftermath.
Attention! Ace Detective Paimon has something to say! When the countdown started, Lenny did indeed go into the tunnel. But he immediately used a vent to access the Opera House basement, which is where the underground core of the Oratrice is stored. Once he reached that area, he heard a voice in what should have been an empty room. Since he felt something was amiss, he returned immediately. The crime scene had already developed by the time he reached the tunnel again, and in order to complete the magic trick, he did not remain there for any length of time. Finally, he reached the surface, and that was when the accident happened from his point of view. Therefore, he's innocent!
You are now on neutral ground. I'm kind of hungry, but at the same time, I'm not hungry. Like, I don't know if I want to eat just to eat.
Paimon did it! Paimon actually managed to say all that! Oh, wasn't it awesome?
In other words, you believe that he knew nothing of the incident?
That's right!
More abruptly, my upper sensory fall.
My reasoning?
Equipment was clearly tampered with. The camera bumped into Lenny by chance.
If that's the case, then if Cowell hadn't entered the tunnel, who was the entire setup meant to kill? Assuming that what you say is true, Lenny only needed to kidnap the young girl to cause a new disappearance case. What would the point of killing someone on stage be?
Oh, they have a point.
That's right, you tell them! And that's why they're partners of mine. They've managed to turn things around.
Oh, well, your denial is very strident, I'll give you that. But what proof do you have to back your claims?
That's true, we don't have any proof. Do you happen to remember how you...
Of course I do. If he had been in the magic box the whole time, how could he have not heard that sound? Why do you ask? You're saying that he wasn't?
Your claim has now become my weapon. Your claim has now become a critical clue. Okay. Relevant as a missing person. Huh. There's more down here. Relevant. I like how it tells you, like, if it's not important to the thing. During the switch performance, there was an audible dum-dum. No one left Opera House. Which is the evidence that Larry wasn't in the tunnel when the crime took place. There are many. This one?
That's right! Lenny wasn't in the box or in the tunnel. That's why he didn't hear anything strange during the performance. This means that when the crime happened, Lenny had already entered the basement via the vent. The same clue you used to disprove his alibi has now become the best proof! How do you like that?
Well played.
To think you'd use such logic. Well then, if it wasn't Lenny who committed the crimes, then who was it?
It is a very valid point. We do need to know that information. The murderer was... blah 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 blah. You have all the answers. The report indicated that the fireworks near the end of the show burned through the ropes, splitting the water tank above the stage, caused the water tank to fall and kill Crowley. Box below. Lenny is no longer under suspicion. Only other members of the troupe have been able to tamper with the props. Lenny gave a detailed account. The trick was supposed to work inside a box. So the box that contained the audience member to be transported. Changed her outfit, then recharged on the audience reaction. So how so they went missing were found in the tunnel. The reason remains unknown. Who was the only person who could possibly have committed the crimes?
The deceased's name is Cowell, Lenny's assistant. He would have been able to tamper with the equipment. Halsey is the missing person and an ordinary audience member. Or did she have her own scheme all along? Could there have been a third person involved? Is that really a possibility?
The answer.
The deceased's name is Cowell.
Can I? Okay, hold on. So that's two.
Huh? That can't be right. Are you serious? The killer was, in fact, Cowell, the deceased!
Oh, is that so? How interesting! Let's hear your reasoning then.
What I must do next is recreate the truth. What Cowell did, and how he went from would-be perpetrator to victim.
It's always annoying when I'm trying to actually, I'm trying to multitask here. How can we enslave Lenny as having been admitted to interfere with the crime? I think that's the tunnel section.
The deceased's name is Cowell, Lenny.
How can we... haven't been in...
No one entered or left the opera house through its entrance. It would have been tough for both people to fit into...
Oh, okay, so it's this one then.
The sound we heard may have come from a clash between the missing Halsey and the criminal. Lenny was not in the tunnel at that...
How can we have never interfere with a crime? How can we prove there was an altercation? Tunnel.
Halsey's clothing was in the tunnel. The sound we heard may have come from a clash between... It would have been tough for both people to fit in... The sound we heard may have come from a clash between the missing Halsey and...
So clue... Ooh.
The deceased's name is
Where did the missing... Where's he go?
No one entered or left the opera house through its entrances. So... where would... It would have been tough for both people to fit into that vent. They would likely have...
Bumped into a vent.
Halsey's clothing was in the tunnel. So, there must have been some fear that she would attract attention.
Correct hypothesis.
It would have been tough for both people to fit. No one entered or left
Okay, so I guess it's this one then. Something's wrong. Okay, oops. What did I click wrong? Okay, switch to another question. Stop! Okay. Oh. I was wrong. Okay. How can I prove there was an occultation in the tunnel? How do I? True, must have. You're missing.
It would have been tough for both people to...
Okay, what the fuck? How do I get out of this? I must have misunderstood. So, was it letting me? Tunnel, blah blah blah. See from the box what it. So is
What's wrong, Traveler? Are you still having trouble figuring things out?
Where did Hazy go?
I see how it is. So this was all.
Look, since we're at a dead end, why not consider a different track? Just like the trick as it transpired, the end result must have been utterly different from the magician's initial
If only we knew how Halsey disappeared.
Well, that would be nice, but the tunnel only has 3 exits, and it's not like this is a magic trick where you can just make a real live person disappear.
Magic. Wait, could that have been in the wall?
Excuse my interruption, dear opponents, but do you not see that the crowd is growing impatient? There is no greater sin in this opera house than an awkward delay in the performance.
If the defense is unable to make further effective arguments, we will move on to the next stage of the trial.
Maybe I was doing it right. I don't know. It was just being weird. I don't know. Hold on a sec.
Lenny was not in the tunnel at that moment, which gave our criminal ample time. The sound we heard may have come from a clash between the missing Halsey and the criminal. The deceased's name is Cowell, Lenny's assistant.
Okay, where did the missing... Okay,
the
so
vase was not broken by chance. It was used to cover important evidence. The water.
That's a clue.
Oh, Paimon gets it! It all comes together if Halsey disappeared instead of being kidnapped. Lynette escaped from the water tank, vanishing gradually and leaving only clothes behind. If there's a similar method where a person could be transformed into water...
Oh, just a moment, please. I do hope you know how preposterous you sound at the moment. How could a person ever be transformed into water? This is reality we're talking about here, not some magic trick.
Where'd my glasses go? I took them off for a second and now I can't see. Okay. Quest to examine Crowley's personal effects.
Must we really? I should think that of anyone. Your friend Linny already knows this truth very well. Magic tricks are ultimately just illusions and misdirection. But Halsey's disappearance is very real. We're talking about 2 completely different things.
Even so, I trust the Traveler's judgment.
Damn it.
The truth must be out there somewhere. Perhaps some new line of reasoning may open if we try to gather all the focal points that don't make sense. Since Cal was the deceased, we haven't placed much attention on him. But given that we aren't making much progress with the case, it wouldn't hurt to have a look at his belongings, would it?
People really do come up with all sorts of harebrained schemes when at the end of their rope. The way I see it, Your suggestion that we broaden the scope of our investigation is nothing but a tactic for stalling the trial.
Nevertheless, I believe that this is a reasonable request on the part of an attorney. Since the trial does indeed appear to be at an impasse, I believe that additional evidence may help us make more progress. Guards, please step into the lounge and examine the personal effects of the deceased Cowell.
We are still examining the items, but we have already made critical progress that we feel must be shared with everyone post-haste. We discovered several test tubes of fluid within Cowell's baggage, each labeled separately. The notebook in his backpack claims that these fluids are water from the primordial sea.
The primordial sea?
The note's contents also indicate that Cowell belonged to an organization that sells illegal drugs and that he had an accomplice. The notebook has many entries concerning safe usage of these fluids, in which the keyword dissolve appears many times. One of these tubes was labeled Opera Epiclese, along with yesterday's date. It is empty. The notes also state that these dissolution properties work exclusively on people from Fontaine. It's likely that Halsey was chosen as some sort of test subject. As such, we believe that the defense's hypothesis is, in fact, supported by sufficient evidence.
You've got to be kidding! People dissolving into water?
Could something so ridiculous actually be true?
Wait a moment. This reminds me of a certain prophecy, but it's just a coincidence, isn't it?
Huh. If people can become water, does that mean that the water tank's real use was as a means to hide water stains? And if Cowell was targeting that girl... Wait just a minute. Could that mean... You two, with me, quick!
Demoiselle, wait! What about your partners?
Let's go. Just trust me.
Order! Order! It is undeniable that further examination of the deceased's personal effects has yielded some surprising results, but we cannot yet verify the veracity of these clues. Still, let us assume that these clues are indeed authentic, albeit with the understanding that Ms. Halsey has yet to be found. Guards, please continue examining the items along these lines. Mr. Linney, it appears your hypothesis is supported by the evidence, so please continue speaking.
Of course. Thank you, Your Honor. If we uphold this hypothesis, I believe that many of this case's seemingly unrelated clues can be connected together.
Right! Like the metal hook! That one didn't make sense at all. Let's think about this. Cowell's methods must have something to do with that water from the primordial sea.
Water from the primordial sea. Liquid the guards found in Crowley's luggage seems to have the ability to dissolve Fontanians into water. Who's the Prims?
The deceased's name is Cowell.
I wish it was just... Okay, unless there is a thing. What item did the culprit use to control the timing of the dissolution? What is this?
Lynette was in the magic box on stage the entire time. Did she have something?
No.
I remember there was something else within the inner layer of that box.
Dissolve.
The water from the primordials.
Select the clue. Remember the culprit used to hide them behind the crime. This is the water box.
Lynette was in the magic box on...
What was that?
I remember there was something else with...
Ah! Stop!
The deceased's name is Cowell.
No,
Lynette's
stop.
assistant. I remember there was something else within the inner layer of that box.
What was it? Can I move this around?
The rope that strung the water tank up was lit by the fireworks and cut. As such, the focus here is on the water and not the tank.
Maybe this one?
I remember there was something else with it.
Okay. So, either the hook?
Lynette was in the magic box on stage.
It would have to be this one then.
Now it seems like the hook rope was not meant.
Okay, so it was the wrong rope they clicked. Try not to scratch my fucking leg. Where the fuck is the hand sanitizer?
It's Ace Detective Paimon's time to shine again! In the original plan, Cowl would tamper with the water tank rope and the number selector securing his target. When the magic box containing Halsey was lowered, the metal hook would retract gradually and pierce the balloon at the top of the box. When the balloon attached to the box popped, the water from the primordial seed inside it would pour down and dissolve Halsey. Afterward, Cowl would enter the tunnel and break the flower vase to conceal the water inside the tunnel, with the remaining evidence being covered up by the water tank on stage. But he encountered something unexpected in the tunnel, and wound up being fatally hit by the same water tank he meant to use to cover his tracks.
Huh. That does make sense.
That actually links together a lot of the more confusing pieces of evidence.
You're now 50-50.
Oh dear, what do I do? Even I think they sound convincing now. Have I falsely accused an innocent person? What a humiliation.
Now, it seems like the only point of contention remaining is the exact circumstances that led to Cal's death. His notes mentioned he had an accomplice who could be related to the situation.
On that note, the guards have just contacted me indicating that they uncovered new evidence. I shall now invite him on stage to share it with us.
Thank you, Your Honor. We were just inspecting the luggage of the other people involved in this case. And we found an identical sample of the water from the primordial sea among Linny's personal effects.
What?
That can't be.
Oh, I see. Well, how wonderfully comedic to have your own counterattack only to come back and wound you. Does this not clear all doubt? My dear citizens, my loyal audience, allow me to present my reasoning and bring this performance to a swift close. Linny did not need to take part in the dissolution of the young woman at all. Indeed, he did leave the scene via the vent.
Have to click buttons.
Having made modifications to the props beforehand, his accomplice Cowl then caused Halsey to vanish using the water from the primordial sea. But upon his return, in cruel avarice, Linny desired sole credit and prepared to do away with his partner in crime. Ultimately, he knocked Cowl out, and the tool meant to cover the crime up also became a murder weapon. Now, as much as I regret having come to such a viciously straightforward conclusion, it does seem that the famed Fatui is quite the cold-blooded and ruthless organization. Am I right, Mr. Linny?
We've used up all the evidence we collected. There's no way for us to make a rebuttal here. Is this the end of the road?
I think we've all seen enough now, and we have ample witnesses to my flawless reasoning. I believe this is indeed the finale. Now then, my good, noble Chief Justice, should we not, in your view, move...
Excuse me, everyone, but I must interject.
Miss, I must ask you not to shout, and to respect the ongoing legal proceedings.
Oh, come on. Don't be hasty. I have a good reason for interrupting, you know. Now, would anyone here like to take a little break from all this debate and see a little magic? I'll show you an amazing trick. One that can bring a young woman who has disappeared back in the flesh, right before your very eyes. Please, do the honors, Mr. Linney, if you would be so kind.
But what in the world is she saying?
No offense, miss, but miracles like that are beyond my scope as a magician.
Come on now, don't be silly. Magic is all about misdirection, isn't it? It often conceals the truth while presenting a fascinating illusion. But once everyone believes the illusion, can't magic reveal the truth to them once again? And wouldn't such a trick be the most marvelous finale to today's performance? Come on, Lenny and Lynette. Give it another go. Don't worry. Spina di Rasula has made the necessary arrangements on your behalf. But, as the magic makers and stars of the show, I think I should leave the final performance to you.
I understand.
And voila!
Sorry for the interruption.
Wait, isn't that Halsey? So the whole thing about people dissolving wasn't true after all?
To be clear, I'm only here because this person told me that if I testified, the merit of doing so would lessen my sentence. I was hiding outside this room listening to the proceedings because I was afraid that I would be the one put on trial. I was just feeling happy that no one had noticed me, and then before I knew it, she caught me.
That'll teach you to underestimate us three.
Where should I begin? I'm sorry. I'm the one who killed Cowell. I admit it.
What? Why?
Firstly, my name isn't Halsey. It's Lillian, and I'm originally from Mondstadt. I heard that Linny's show was gonna be a real thriller, but I missed the chance to buy a ticket, so I stole one. That's how I make a living. I steal stuff here and there, and I'd never been caught before. But I was noticed at the harbor a few days ago, and I barely got away. Linny was the one who caught me in the act.
Hey, no wonder you look familiar. So you were the thief! Liddy even mentioned that you were pretty skilled.
Well, and I thought that would have been the end of it, but then the number selector chose me. He even mentioned the Fortress of Meripede. That's a prison, isn't it? So you can imagine how shocked I was. I thought he was on to me for sure. So I played along with the show while looking for an opening to flee, but then I got water poured on me for no reason, and then someone jumped into the tunnel to nab me. I wasn't going to take that lying down, so I knocked him out and stuffed him into the box. There was nowhere to run from there, though, so I had to change my clothes and hide in a box containing performance costumes. I slipped out after the first guard arrived at the scene and continued hiding inside the opera house.
Can a person even hide in there?
If you're a practiced hand at concealment, probably. You could make it work.
But I swear, I didn't know that the water tank would fall down. Really, I swear it. Had I known that, I wouldn't have put him in the magic box. I may be a thief, but I'm no killer.
Well, that makes everything pretty clear now, doesn't it?
Yeah, now it's time to
This time, we need to tell the entire story from Lillian's perspective.
Then he entered the tunnel. Countdown. He's rushed out the tunnel. He did not participate in dissolving the young woman. His advice was used. Then he's select the number. Dr. Hazley. Something were found in the tunnel though. Okay, so top of the box. Choose a number, however okay, select the evidence and okay. Shaft, the tunnel did not participate in destroying the young woman. There's no real loopholes for that one. Crowd planned to use prepared for the magic trick as well. As Hazley appeared in harm before all of our eyes, Farina it no longer holds water, and Lazy have reacted when water from the premises suddenly began to trickle in. Robes of oh, piece to pop the box, top of the magic box. During the switch, the perimeter was heard. Likely that it was knocked over by the trolley. And then you went missing. I'm trying to remember what the fuck. Pulling round. Select evidence to fit into the tunnel. Hazy's dissolve. Infighting between Linny.
The flower vase was not broken to cover anything up, but was smashed during the struggle between Lillian and Cowell.
Okay. Was blocked. Hazy lady went missing.
Lillian was afraid that she would be recognized if she left, so she changed clothes and hid, biding her time. Just what one might expect of an experienced thief.
And design prop activated, causing the water tank to crush down. On the ground, metal hook has been tied. As was used during the magic performance to choose a lucky. Now, friends, as you appear, I guess that one would be this one. Or maybe the hook goes here. During the switch performance. Okay, so maybe this is the hook. No. Okay. You could tell I'm already getting frustrated. I'm like, I'm tired. I got home from work. I'm tired. I want to deal with this shit. Okay, so there it is.
The strange sound wasn't from a fight. It was Lily-Ann's attempt to break out when she was frightened.
Okay.
And it's Ace Detective Paimon time!
I'm just clicking all the shit because I was like,
Having been selected out of the blue, Lily-Ann panicked. Her panic only intensified after she entered the tunnel and had water poured on her head. So she kicked the door open, producing the thud we all heard. Hearing the commotion, Cowell leapt into the tunnel, only to discover that Lily-Ann had not dissolved. He did not know that Lily-Ann was not from Fontaine, but was a thief who made her way in by stealing a ticket. Mistakenly believing that the water from the primordial sea needed time to take effect, he tried to force Lily-Ann back into the box. The two broke the flower vase during the struggle, but Lily-Ann came out on top, knocking Cowell out and putting him in the box. With no way of escaping, she changed her clothes and hid in the costume trunk until the performance ended.
I kind of wish I could see these pictures more zoomed up because they look kind of like the artwork style looks nice. From what I can see. And I think I'm gonna un-auto it and we'll pause and
she knew that she would have to go through guard inspection if she tried to leave afterward. So, she has been trapped in the Opera House these last 2 days.
with that elevation, yeah. We're gonna end this episode here and we'll continue onward. So, next time. So for now, Tiniestofchibis is signing out.